Hey, what's up guys? I've had some good time with this Omega Seamaster Professional recently, as well as my Tudor Black Bay, and I wanted to do a video comparing the two and showing them side by side in case any of you are interested in purchasing one or the other. I hope this is a fun, informative video that helps you come to the right decision for you. Both of the watches do some things better than the other one, and so I'll just share with you my opinions. Hopefully you enjoy the video, and I'll start with the Tudor. So I think the Tudor has the nicer bezel action. You can see it's a 60 click bezel. It's easy to grip with that coin edging. Each click is loud, precise, and clean. There's zero play, and honestly this is one of the nicest bezels that I've had the pleasure of operating. If I compare it to the Omega is nice, but it doesn't quite have the amount of quality to the feel of the action. It has a slight amount of back play, and it's a little bit harder to grip with those scalloped edges. Again, the bezel insert on the Omega is nicer, it being ceramic and it being more scratch resistant and more beautiful, but the overall action is a little bit of a letdown when you compare it to the Tudor. Bracelets, let's look at the bracelets. I think the Tudor has the nicer bracelet just by a small margin. You have a 22 millimeter size here at the lugs and it tapers down to 18 millimeters. There's very little flex and give. You can tell that it's very finely machined to tight tolerances. I like the 3 different micro adjustments on the clasp, and my favorite part is probably the ceramic ball bearing detent on the lock mechanism and on the flip lock. It's just so snappy, secure, and fun to operate. I think the bracelet and clasp on the Tudor is just ever so slightly nicer and more enjoyable than the Omega. The Omega I think it's a little bit more beautiful. I love the Brosnan Bond look. It's 20 millimeters, it does not taper. It does have a twin trigger release clasp here, but there are no micro adjustments on the clasp. So you have to get the proper fit by just sizing the links, and they do include 2 half links to help you in that process. But I will say it does have a really nice dive extension that the Tudor does not have. But overall, just by wearing the two, I would have to say I do prefer the bracelet on the Tudor Black Bay. So here's the lume. You can see both of them have excellent lume for dive watches. The Tudor has a little bit more surface area on the hands and on the indices, and so I think it glows a little brighter, a little bit more potent, and it's longer lasting than what's on the Omega. The Omega is cool, and I like the 2 different colors, the blue and the green, but it's just not quite as nice as the lume that's on the Tudor. If we compare the crowns, the Tudor has the easier to operate crown. It's large, there's no crown guards. It really doesn't get any easier than that. But the Omega, being smaller and harder to access with those large crown guards, it actually has the finer movement. You can see that it's ever so quiet when I try to operate it, and the overall feel of winding, setting the time, hacking the seconds, it feels a little bit more luxurious than the Tudor. It's a finer action even though it's harder to access. These are the 2 watches on wrist. You can see the profile. I say the Tudor sits a little nicer on the wrist. The case back's absolutely flat, and those curved lugs kind of arc down a little bit more on the Tudor than on the Seamaster. That just being the oyster shape of the case, and it just ends up sitting flatter on my wrist and just being slightly more comfortable. The Omega case back is a little thicker, and you can see ever so small gaps beneath the lugs and my wrist. It's a little bit heavier too, and I think that also adds to the comfort level of wearing the watches day to day. I think the Tudor just slightly edges out the Omega in this respect. If we look at the boxes, you can see the Tudor definitely has the nicer box. It's larger, it's lacquered, you open it up, there's a nice leather inside, there's a pouch for your warranty card, your paperwork, and here's the NATO strap that's included with the watch. It's fantastic. It's a nice material. The machining on the hardware is perfect. It's top notch. And I like the fact that they include this free of charge. You can buy Omega NATO straps, but they're really expensive, and they don't come with the Seamaster like the Tudor Black Bay comes with one. So looking at the aesthetics, the Tudor definitely is more subdued, but that Omega really pops. It's so beautiful. It plays with the light more, with all the different finishing. The AR coating that's on this dome sapphire crystal, it's on the top as well as the bottom of the crystal, really makes a big difference. You can see that there's no haze to it. It's very clear. You can see the applied indices, the logo, the matching date wheel. It just looks so sharp and clean. I'd say that the Omega is more beautiful. It's more aesthetically pleasing than the Tudor. If we look at the case back, there's really no comparison there too. The Omega has this gorgeous, deeply engraved case back. There are no hard surfaces. There's no hot spots, so it sits very comfortably while it's on your wrist. And it's almost more fun to look at than the top of the watch with all the deep engraving and the different finish work. I think Omega really did a fantastic job on their case back. So talking about the movements, you could say that the Omega has arguably the nicer movement than what's in the Tudor. They're both ETA-based calibers. The Tudor has a 28-24 caliber that they regulate and adjust. They do a fantastic job. Mine's running at about plus 3 seconds per day right now. Very happy with that. It's easily serviced and it's just a reliable, proven workhorse. The Omega basically has an ETA 2892 that they've retrofitted. Instead of a lever escapement like what's on the Tudor, you have a tri-level coaxial escapement, and they bumped down the BPH from 28,800 like you have on the Tudor to 25,200 that's on the Omega. So it's a slightly lower beat frequency. It's hard to see with the naked eye, but it's ever so slightly more jumpy than the Tudor is when you look at the second hand. And so you could consider that a negative, but arguably the coaxial 2500D caliber that's here in the Omega is more sophisticated. It does have a date mechanism with an instantaneous date change function, which is incredibly practical, and I do prefer that. So really, you could argue which one is better because they both have pros and cons. The Omega is going to be more expensive to service, but it does have that nice date feature. It does have a more sophisticated escapement mechanism, and overall it's very well respected and regarded in the watch community. Another thing to consider is look to the future for each model and each brand. Where are they going? What are they doing? Tudor is releasing an in-house version of the Black Bay. They're updating the bracelet, they're updating the dial, and they're putting in an in-house movement that is technically superior to the 2824 that they adjust and regulate in this version. And it's really compelling. It looks like a great, fantastic offering. So there's that to consider. And there's also the fact that this ETA version, if you can find one now at a decent price, will likely appreciate in the future. It will probably become more collectible and probably have better value retention than the in-house version of the Tudor Black Bay, and also this 2500D coaxial version of the SMP. If we look at the Omega side, Omega is updating all of their watches, all of their models with a META-certified master chronometer in-house movement. They started doing that with the Globemaster in 2014, I believe. And I'll tell you what they're doing is really impressive. They are, from the ground up, creating a movement, a coaxial tri-level escapement movement, that has a decent power reserve, a silicone hairspring, and just the way that they manufacture the components, it ends up being a ridiculously anti-magnetic watch. I mean, they are resistant to 15,000 Gauss, which is ridiculous, but I really love that. That's really practical. Living in a day where we have cell phones and computers and we travel and there's all these different magnetic fields around us, it's nice to know that the movement is basically impervious to magnetic flux. So they've started doing that. They've put it in the Globemaster. It's in the new Planet Ocean. They're calling it the Cal 8800, and they've said that they're going to expand it to all the lines. So at some point in the future, the Seamaster, whether it's next year or 5 years or 10 years from now, will likely get one of those META-certified master chronometers that I think will be superior to even the in-house version of the Black Bay that is starting to come out right now. Which one's better? I mean, they're both awesome. They both have pros and cons. They both do some things better. It's just been fun wearing both the watches. Honestly, they're great models. I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer. I don't think you can really go wrong either way. But I will say, if you want a watch that's a little bit more understated, maybe a little bit more refined, I'd say that that's the Tudor. It's very comfortable. It's machined and executed to a very high degree. You're buying into the Rolex family without getting the Rolex name and the brand recognition that comes along with that. It's a little bit more under the radar and absolutely fantastic. So if those things are important to you, I say get the Tudor, but you need to be okay with not having a date function, because if you're not, you won't enjoy the watch. Now, if you want something that's a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more modern and sleek, I'd say that's the Seamaster. It is so sharp. It really catches the eye. And the name brand, Omega, it is, to the masses, it's more recognizable than Tudor. It will attract more attention than the Tudor. So if you want something that's a little bit sharper, a little bit more, got more pop and presence, I say that that's the Seamaster. It's a chronometer. It's a fantastic watch. It's well respected. You can't go wrong there. Okay, so those are my thoughts about the watches. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And just so you know, I didn't buy this Omega. This is not in my collection. This was a buddy of mine's watch. I asked him if I could borrow it, if I could try it out. He graciously sent it to me. He's got a YouTube channel too, so if you'd like to check out his channel, it's Random Rob. I'll put a link in the description. He's a great guy. He's a big watch fan. He loves everything from affordable Timexes, G-Shocks, Seiko Monsters, all the way up to Omega. So big thanks to him. Go ahead and check out his channel if you'd like. And thanks, Rob, for allowing me some time with your Seamaster. It's been fantastic. I'm going to be sending him my Black Bay so he can try that out. And I hope you enjoy that, Rob, as much as I've enjoyed using your Seamaster. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And cheers.